I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami Ishtar, Kali, Mammy, and Mother.
Aries Moon sign people, lots going on in your sign these days. You are host to Mars and Uranus this month, so lots of active energy for you, lots of fits and starts and excitement and all of that good stuff that you're used to, but really on steroids. So emotionally, you're feeling that as we approach this solar eclipse. Now, this is a new spread for you, and those of you who haven't joined us before, this might be an interesting spread for you to know, because we don't just go to the surface of the moon. We go deep into the moon, and so that's why we look at our Vedic or sidereal soul sign in order to have a very clear idea of what the soul's intention is, especially now for you. Now, your sidereal sign, speaking of that, more than likely is going to be Pisces for most of you. Some of you will be Aries and sidereal as well. Again, check the links below to verify and see which reading resonates best and most with you. Of course, your significator, your inner work card, is acknowledged. There's some acknowledgement work that needs to be done. And so we want to look at the cards that we have here. The significator is in the center. This is the shadow card. This is your desire. Of course, when we are looking at this is what is bringing up this shadow issue. What is bringing up the need for the inner work? This is what you desire, and this card is what's at stake if your desire is not fulfilled. This is why you should do the inner work of addressing your shadow. This card is what you will learn. What's the gain? What is the payoff for doing the inner work? This is how and when the inner work will occur or is occurring. And of course, the outcome card is specifically the outcome for doing the inner work. So looking at your shadow, what you perceive to be a flaw, something that you would prefer others not know about you, something that you perhaps don't even acknowledge about yourself. It's some kind of an internal battle or struggle, is to enjoy yourself, Aries moon sign people. Now, this is unusual for Aries moon sign people to have an inner struggle with self-pleasure, but this is a new moon card, and so this is Great Mother coming through quite profoundly saying that during this solar eclipse, it's time for you to really be clear about whether or not your issues with mama drama trauma are driving you to run away from relationships, opportunities, initiating projects, initiating conversations out of fear. Or are you abstaining, avoiding them, or deflecting from them because you decided to follow your bliss? She's saying be very careful and very clear about that, because we see the second chakra here in the center. And the second chakra, chakras, of course, we're talking about the Vedic astrology, is rules in the Vedic astrology, so Sagittarius and Pisces, okay, again, which is your sidereal sign. So on a soul level, your soul is needing you as the ego. Great Mother has no condemnation or judgment when we talk about ego. Therefore, we're talking simply about your biography, your story, where you grew up, who you are, who you call yourself, who you name yourself to be. I live this, I do that. Your identity as you know it is the ego when Great Mother's talking about it. The soul is wanting that part of you to align with it as it relates to what's truly pleasurable for you. You may have been given a whole, conditioned response to what success means, to what projects are worthy, what relationships are worthy, what conversations are worth having, and with whom, and all of that. But it is not resonating with you. You are actually wanting to do something that may not be meeting the approval of others, so to speak. And what's bringing all of this up is that there is some type of feeling of abandonment and abuse, not because you feel victimized by it, but because you are beginning to realize there's a oneness to life, that people are connected, that everyone, to each his own. Everyone has a right to believe and to think whatever they want to think. And again, this is not a typical Aries emotional attitude. This is a very wise energy coming through. Your intuition is really downloading this to you. And you're receiving it. You're letting go of feelings of victimization, and you're opening yourself up to it. But what's bringing up this need for the ego to align with this awareness, Aries moon sign people, is Akhenaten. And Akhenaten is the yang root chakra card. This is a root chakra card as well. Acknowledge. And so we have all this Saturnal energy. Saturn rules the root chakra. Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn in the sidereal, which we're talking about for you is 10th house energy. So this 10th house energy having to do with your career. And so projects in your career, conversations that need to be had, meetings that maybe you've avoided, discussions, maybe in the workplace, all of this is going on, or what you want to be your career, things that you're working toward, what the kids call their grind and that sort of thing, are things that are really making you question their value and their worthiness. And that has to do with this Uranus and Mars energy in your first house, which is changing and shifting your approach. So the law of mystery and divine order is bringing up for you some past life karma that you're ready, that yang energy and third quarter moon energy, you're ready to release. Third quarter moon energy is all about release. You're ready to release that karma. You're ready to move on. You've done a lot of healing work, or maybe you've done it and you haven't consciously been aware of it. But what you want to do is you want to be aware of it. You want to realize the justice of your efforts. You have been, in so much as you can, working hard to adjust yourself. You've been feeling this shift in energies. Uranus has been in Aries for a good 8 months now, retrograde, and it's gone direct. It's starting to go direct. It's starting to move, and so all of this energy is really supporting you to move toward your intuitive sense of self, to move toward a more clear understanding of what's going on for you. What you really want is to not be disappointed from all this effort, to not feel like you've been played. You know, Aries is I am, and you've been on this grind. You've been trying to be more open, even though you don't feel that you've been necessarily treated well. But what's at stake for you, if you don't continue with this inner work that your soul is wanting you to do in this expansion, is that you won't feel the wellness that you really do know you deserve. The heart chakra is the crossroads of the ego and the soul. And this full moon energy with this card, when the three go before Oz on his throne to ask their wishes, what's at stake is that you will never know that the power is already within you. They didn't know at the time that they made their wishes that their desires would totally be made possible through their own efforts. And that's what you've been doing. This is what you've been doing here. You have been either avoiding the issues out of fear. You don't want to go back into victimhood, or you have been detracting from the issues, doing the kata, on them, because you are moving toward your pleasure. And whatever path you've been taking, or that you're taking now, these are both new moon cards here. So this is right now. This awareness is coming up for you right now. If you've been avoiding out of fear, then you are already disappointed. That's all fear ever does. When we live in fear, it all it does is bring us disappointment. It never gives us the payoff that it promises. If we just kind of recoil back into things, we'll be no one to see us, nobody will notice us. Not typical Aries energy at all. But when you have Pisces soul energy coming through, this intuitive voice that can have a tendency to recoil, that can have a tendency to be overly dependent on the opinions and the needs of others, and not see the big picture, there can definitely be disappointment. And not so much a feeling of wellness as a result, or an ability to fulfill the very clear initiatives that Aries has. But for the Aries who are doing the kata and working the energy to their advantage to pursue your pleasure, you are beginning to notice that some things are not as they should be. However, there is a gratitude in seeing the reality of things as opposed to a disappointment. You're happy that now you see that this job does not offer the upward mobility that you would hope, for example, or that the meetings that you've been avoiding are unproductive, and what you are instead using your time to do is to work on the projects, or to request or work in areas that is more in alignment with you. Maybe that grind, maybe the things that you're doing to actually create a new business is not panning out the way you thought it would. But you're seeing that there are other opportunities that are going to turn out even better for you than what you thought. And you're going to get more clarity about this by the full moon. Now, what you're going to get from doing this type of inner work and looking at where you are in terms of avoidance or in terms of distraction is that right now you are going to have this inner wisdom downloaded to you during this new moon. It's going to be downloaded to you, Aries moon sign people, in such a way that you're going to feel that you have achieved something already for your efforts, for having opened yourself up to acknowledging the greater, higher vision of life beyond you, and allowing others to be who they are. To each his own is also a part of the law of mystery and divine order. We're all unique creations of the Creator, and you're beginning to see that about yourself even more than you already do. This is the Mars symbol, which rules Aries and is in your sign, your moon sign, at this time. And so you're beginning to see that on the emotional level. Now remember, you have your sun sign and your ascendant, but on this deep emotional intuitive level, Aries moon sign people, you're beginning to intuit that it's time for you to come forward in full expression of who you are and what you are about. There's been some resistance to doing that, but you're realizing that you have a value. You're realizing that you know the way to go. Okay, this is Scarecrow, telling Dorothy any way she goes is fine. She didn't know which way to go when she first met up with him coming out of Munchkin Land. And that's kind of where you are. You're kind of coming out of Munchkin Land onto your own emotional yellow brick road. And of course, the yellow symbolizes the gut chakra, which you don't have at all. But you have the beginning of the yellow brick road journey of that inner wisdom. And you jump here in the position of how and when your inner work is occurring to Hecate. Now, Hecate is fifth chakra energy. This is the suit, fifth chakra suit is when they finally arrive at the witch's castle to take the broom. And so this is higher will energy, the fifth chakra. This is also where you realize that you do not have to sell out your birthright, those ruby red slippers, to be happy, healthy, and whole in order to live by your intuition. You are realizing that this inner work is needed, and that in order for you to really own your birthright and to really have what is yours and enjoy it in your life, that you really are going to have to live by your higher will and let the people or the situations that don't work for you fall away, just as the wicked witch had to fall away when those shoes wouldn't come off. That's where you are right now. And this is a great place for you to be, because with this crescent moon energy, it's telling me that how this and when this inner work is occurring is within the next 2.5 to 3 days from the solar eclipse, because the crescent moon comes after that, and right after the new moon. And so there's this higher will of throat chakra energy. And then again, you have another root chakra card here with birth mother that is all about, you know, that regrounding again for you. And this, you know, 10th house energy that is being regrounded, redefined. So the benefit of you doing this inner work is you're taking that clarity that you're getting from this one God, one law. All is well. All is divine. Just as I am. I have a right to pursue and to do what it is that's going to bring me pleasure. And you being able to do that in a way that is very expeditious over the next week or so. The birth mother soulmate card is saying that, you know, how you're doing this is in a way that you are realizing the limitations of your mother as well. Remember, the relationship we have with our parents is replicated in all of our relationships, personal and professional. So in your professional environment, you are dealing with those challenges in your career and whatever your grind is in the exact same way that you observed your mother dealing with it. If you did not grow up with your mother, then your emotions associated with that absence is how you're dealing with this particular challenge and finding justice or being disappointed that there is no justice. So birth mother goddess energy always calls us to take care of ourselves based on what she has taught us. And oftentimes that feels very harsh, but it's no more harsh than the bird who pushes her chick out of the nest so that they become and realize their own divinity. And that's the law of mystery and divine order, isn't it? I know the first time I saw that as a little kid, I think on a National Geographic show, I thought that was just almost traumatic for me. You know, that's how sensitive I was. And coming to realize, hey, you know, that is the most gracious and merciful thing a mother can do, because she's not going to always be there. You know, how is she going to have a resilient child that survives? Well, by doing that. And that's what the birth mother goddess does. And so however your birth mother goddess has taught you how to grind, has taught you how to pursue your pleasure, is how you've been replicating that. Look at that and see whether or not that's working for you right now. Aries moon sign people, that might be where Uranus is coming in there to shift up some things for you. Remember, Uranus rules Aquarius in the Western, but Saturn rules Aquarius in the sidereal. So Saturn rules the root chakra, and so there's some changes going on with this. Again, this Aquarius energy, which is 11th house energy for you, having to do with the group dynamic, your friends, your network, all of that. That's happening here too. Associated with your work, as it often is, as we see the wheels of the houses, they build on one another. And so that 10 and 11 career, and then networks comes after that. Now, your final outcome for having done this inner work is that you're going to be open, even that much more expanded than you are right now. You're going to be more open to taking on the challenges that you need to that you already know. You're already aware now of what needs to be done. And that is where the fear has been coming from. Not taking it on, not addressing it, not doing the meetings, not pursuing the projects the way you know needs to be done. Now, if it's been done out of fear, again, there's that disappointment. There's this replication of birth mother energy that is questioning your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, and your inner wisdom. But if it is to pursue your pleasure, well, then it's the opening of the heart that is saying, hey, I'm diving into it. Just like the lion, when he heard from Oz, you're going to have to bring the witch's broom, he was like, oh my goodness. But he still did it anyway. And so there may be some trepidation still, even though you are following your bliss, right? Sometimes when we're following our bliss, we're still kind of like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. But being open to the opportunity, and with your significator card being acknowledged, and that you've acknowledged whatever disappointments there are, that you've acknowledged whatever blessings there are. You're acknowledging that there are some ways in which you're replicating some of those abandoning and abusive behaviors in your workplace that may have created some challenges, but you're also just not feeling appreciated overall. Is that the reason why? Or is it because you've tried to stop some of those behaviors, and as a result, that has impacted your relationship with your mother? There's a lot of different ways this can be interpreted for such a powerful time during this eclipse. But I hope it has been helpful to you to see how these energies will work with your lunar energy, because the nakshatra, which is ruling this, is in Sagittarius, a sign back from Capricorn, the sidereal mule, which is all about destruction. It's all about pulling things down and dissolution and transformation as well. This nakshatra is completely about release and getting really clear about what the truth is. And on a soul level, that's exactly what Great Mother says that you're doing. Congratulations, Aries moon sign people. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. But above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami Ishtar, Kali, Nami, and Mother Mary.